in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, and welcome to this special edition of Elite FPL, where myself and Dan will be running through this season just past. We're really just chatting about what happened last year, but it's not last year, it's this year. Just our thoughts really about everything. It's not going to be any in-depth from myself. I'm sure Dan will have a lot to talk about when it comes to certain teams. Essentially, the plan for the show is just quite literally going from top, from Man City, all the way down to the bottom with Sheffield United. I've got my favourite website up in front of me. You've got a Twitter page. I've got whoscored.com. Apart from that, let's say good morning to Dan. Hi, Dan.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone. How are we getting on?
You're looking forward to this because obviously this is something that you're normally very interested in, talking about the real life side of things, and I just ask the questions and you just answer with what you need to answer with.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's always good to. It's been a crazy season, and it's always good to reflect. You know, it's certainly been an interesting one with some quite insane results. So I think it will be good to kind of reflect back and look back on the season that's just gone.
Yeah, and just want to say good morning to everybody that is joining us. I know it's a bit early, and I'll just say this now. So this is going to be live. This is going to be an announcement to you as well, Dan. So I was going to be doing a quiz. So here we are. I don't want to kind of reveal the answers, but so I'm going to put it on the big screen. Here we are. It's the big screen here. This is the big screen. Hello. So look at that. If you zoom in, essentially I've got 4 pages like that. 4 pages of questions, Dan, and everybody that's watching, everybody that's going to be watching on the replay, regarding each game week of the season, Dan.
Okay.
Now, in theory, people can cheat. In theory, however, so we were going to do. Well, I was going to do it on tomorrow, but due to lack of interest and people unable to get involved, I'm going to be doing it Saturday. So this Saturday at approximately 3-4 o'clock, something like that. Essentially, the Champions League day and everything. We will be doing a quiz. Now, I am planning to invite some content creators on, whether they're interested or not. I know for a fact that J&O, if he's listening, is very, very good at quizzes. He did very well on the FPL surgeries quiz last year regarding the season before, so to speak. So, I'm going to invite him on for definite. And there's various other people that I'd like to. I want to invite James from Planet FPL on. Again, whether he joins or not, I don't have a clue. But essentially, there are going to be 38 questions. Now, the way it's going to work is so on Sunday, when myself, Jason, along with everybody else, did the watch along for all the 4 p.m. kickoffs, essentially, we did it through a new setup in Discord. So if you're part of the Discord, if you look above Dan, above on air, it says on stage. Now,
yeah.
When we go on the on stage, anybody else can go in there as well. However, what essentially happens on that is that you can press a button which will highlight that you want to speak. So technically, someone could do it now. They could go on the on stage section, and then they would have a green light that lights up. And that person, for me, will be the one that wants to answer the question. However, there will be a time limit. It's not going to be a case of, for argument's sake, who's this here? Someone's saying, Mikey Head saying, Salah hat-trick, question 1, sorted. Well, you're wrong there straight away. But let's just say, for argument's sake, during game week 1, for argument's sake, a player was sent off for Leicester. Do you know which player was fouled in which got Leicester players sent off? So it's not going to be Salah got the highest number of points in FPL. Who got the second highest? No. This quiz is going to be essentially almost impossible. However, people can cheat if they really want to. But essentially, the person that decides to go and try and cheat on this particular quiz by hitting the green button and going, I'm gonna get in there before you. There's going to be none of this, Dan, where it's I've started so I finish. If someone decides to buzz in on a question where they think they know the answer, I'm just going to go, well, go on then. Right, you've lost your turn. And essentially, what I want to do is get several people of the content creators. I want to get, I've put it out to the moderators, yourself, Dan, if you're interested. Jason, obviously, I put it in the members only chat as well. And I kind of want someone that's part of the community that's watching live to be part of it as well. But again, it's all just a bit of fun. It's just an experiment. It's nothing serious. No one's going to win anything apart from bragging rights. I would argue, Dan, that anybody will be lucky to get 10 questions right. Now, I got 1 question right, and actually involved your team, Dan. But I only got 1 question right out of all, which I was setting myself. So yeah, I'm calling it the Impossible FPL Season Quiz. But if someone was to come in and get more than 10, I would genuinely be shocked. But yeah, talking of impossible FPL seasons, this is going to be almost impossible for me. So Dan, I'm going to be looking at you really to be doing a lot of the talking. So yeah, like I said, this stream is going to be talking about the Premier League season that's just gone. We're going to be working down through each team. And Dan, we'll just start with Man City, of course. Up in front of me, they won 27 games, drew 5, lost 6, scored 83 goals, conceded 32. And what can you say, Dan? Back to winning ways. They obviously started off pretty poorly and everybody thought, oh, God. But they've turned it round, and that Diaz-Stones partnership kept all the clean sheets under the sun, and they've just gone on to win the title by 12 points, mate.
Yes, yeah. I mean, congratulations to Man City on reclaiming their title. And
do you mean that, Dan?
I've enjoyed watching Man City play. I've enjoyed watching them play. Cynicism aside, so I think if we cast our minds back to the start of the season, they certainly had a bit of a rocky patch. If you remember when, of course, they lost 2-0 to Tottenham.
Can I just interject, Dan? So
fairly early on in the season.
What I'm going to do, Dan, is each team that we go through, so on whoscored.com, I can literally look at every single fixture. So I'm going to be testing your knowledge as well here. So you said on the opening day of the season they lost 2-0 to Tottenham. When did the season start? This is the question for me now. This is the only thing that I hate about whoscored.com is that quite literally it has every... whoscored.com, for anybody that doesn't use it, is an absolute fantastic site for regarding statistics and everything, but it quite literally has everything from their friendlies to Champions League qualifying to God knows any match that they've ever played this season is covered with every single statistic possible. But they started on oh, of course they started a week late, didn't they? Yeah, they started on the 21st of September, which was a Monday, whereas everybody else started, specifically the season started on Saturday the 12th, which was, Dan, do you remember the first game for you lot?
We played Fulham away, 1-3-0. That was when Willian.
There we are. Well done.
You heard that Willian wants to go back to Chelsea now.
What? Say that again.
Yeah, Guy Sports. Willian, he's keen to go back to Chelsea. I don't think he understands how football transfers work. But yeah, 3-0 away to Fulham. The kit was looking good. It was all rosy. The sunshine was out. And then it all went wrong.
Yes. So you were saying about their opening game. So I've got up in front of me here. They beat Wolves 3-1. And then they lost to Leicester 5-2.
Yeah, bloody hell. Christ, I forgot about that. I watched the second half of that game, and I remember Maddison scored one of the goals of the season. In fact, it was up for goal of the season on Match Today the other night. That was obviously a horror show. And, they had some bad defeats early on in the season, but, they had this meeting behind the scenes and they turned things round. Let's not forget Gundogan with the points hauls throughout many points of the season. And, Foden kind of living up to his billing, really living up to his potential and getting some crucial goals. Mahrez, the Maverick, he turned on the style quite a few times, getting some good returns. I remember the game against Southampton when I had him as a differential. That's a nice memory when he racked up the points then. So even though Jesus hasn't really been on fire this season, obviously Aguero's had his injury troubles in his final season at Manchester City, it's almost like they haven't needed striker because midfielder-wise, they've just been able to chip in with the goals. But defensively, lots of people have been doubling up on Man City assets. So Diaz, Stones, of course. Stones is, last season he was frozen out. This season, he's in the squad for the Euros. That was announced yesterday. He's won the Premier League. He's been a crucial part of that team that's got to the Champions League final. So fair play to John Stones for turning it around. But I think I've got to say Diaz has been, he's been immense. Obviously, he's won this this Player of the Season Writers Award, and he's made a massive difference. And they've still had, likes of Fernandinho. He has, still been there. The veteran kind of in midfield as well. So, and of course, how could I forget De Bruyne as well, pulling the strings along. And just a great team to watch. I'm sure we'll do a quick prediction at the end for the respective finals as well, because obviously there's 3 English teams involved. There should be 4, but don't get me started on that.
So for anybody that's watching in chat, morning tips. Essentially, if you have anything to add to, or do you want any input that you want to give about the teams that we're talking about, your memories of this season, in this specific case regarding Man City, please let us know. But I'm just looking here, Dan, at their fixtures, and it's funny because, I'm just looking at it in front of me, and I think to myself, well, where did they dip? Because all I can just see is just a sea of green, which refers to win. And we're talking this is ludicrous. So they drew with, this is the only dip, right? This is Manchester City all season. This is the only dip that I can see that they had. They drew in the Premier League with Liverpool, 1-1 on November the 8th. They lost, like you said, 2-0 to Tottenham. And I think maybe at this point, go on, you were going to say something about that game, actually, Dan.
No, I was just saying at the time, they were struggling, and obviously you mentioned the Leicester defeat, which I'd actually forgotten.
Before you continue, this is what I wanted to say. So you say they were struggling, but they beat Marseille 3-0, they beat Sheffield United 1-0, they beat Olympiacos 3-0, and then they drew 1-1 with Liverpool, which is a perfectly respectable result, and then they lost 2-0 to Tottenham. So can you just, with your own memory, tell us, including myself, why they were struggling? Because based on literally in front of me, evidently weren't.
Well, you say that, but conceding 5 goals at home to Leicester.
Well, that was back in September. This is November.
Yeah, but there were a few defeats. Like you say, this is like almost rewriting history. The answer's no, Dan. It was 1-1 loss, 1 drew, 1-1 drew, 1-1-1, drew loss. So actually, if anybody in chat wants to, not necessarily correct Dan, but maybe tell us or maybe inform Dan as to why Man City were struggling. But go on, Dan. You tell us why you thought they were struggling, genuinely. Well, God, it's hard to remember everything, Steve. I guess because I've done no research to show, I'm just going off my memory.
Nor have I, mate.
But I'm just going off the fact that I guess, just losing those 2 games. But I suppose you're going to lose at some points during the season. But I don't know. I'll shut up then. I don't know what to say to that. I think there was a point when they were off. They were just expected to dominate, and then I think more the Leicester game, which is what I'd actually forgot. That's what stuck in my mind, and I think that when they did lose to Tottenham, but I suppose in a way, actually, what this shows is you can get caught up in the media frenzy, because when you actually look at the result, they're good. Bar that freak result against Leicester, you're going to lose some games in point of the season anyway. But I just remember at the time people saying, "Oh, Man City going to struggle to to make a challenge." But they've come through. And I think Sterling hasn't quite exploded as an asset this season in comparison to the previous season. I'm just hoping he's saving it all up for the Euros. To be honest with you, I couldn't care less about him doing it for Man City. But you know, it's been a team effort. It's a real cliche, but Gundogan, he's been, an amazing asset for many people this season. From a purist point of view, De Bruyne has been an absolute pleasure to watch. And this Man City loving's making me feel a bit sick here, but fair play to Aguero for getting his goal on the last day of the season. That was nice to see. And, and also I suppose you get the unsung guys a little bit. As I said, Fernandinho, Zinchenko's done a little bit better this season when I've seen him get more involved. But of course Edison as well, and obviously he saved the penalty on Sunday. And they've got a top class team. It'll be interesting to see who they add this summer.
So Nicholas Steele is saying here, as Pep highlighted, the team this season was built primarily for the Champions League success. If you notice, there's no bad Champions League results. Firetog, morning pal, weren't they 8th in the table at the time? Ramanathan, heavy rotation between Champions League and Premier League games, reason to dip in form back in the start. Again, Ramanathan, the stats directly in front of me suggest had no bearing on whatsoever. Nicholas Steele also, Man City had about 3 games in hand at this stage, so everyone forgot about them, so that may be fall into... In fact, there we are, Nick Tool saying, City had 3 games in hand and were 10th with a negative goal difference. So that could have been based on the press you were saying about... Robert Melian, they weren't that clinical in that period. I think right after the rise of Gundogan started is when they started getting clinical. So if I just look here for a second, so Man City goals... in that period between the start of the season, which was September 21st, up to that loss against Tottenham, 3-1 win, 3 goals, 2 goals. This is for Man City. They scored 3 goals, 2 goals, 2 goals, 3, 1, 1, 3. This is including Champions League. 1, 3, 1, 3. It's almost like a pattern here. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. So... a very mixed bag here, but that is actually very strange. The fact that every time they seem to score 3 goals, Dan, they followed it up by essentially scoring 1. That is a bit weird. I'm looking at that now, but maybe there's something in that. I don't know. Maybe there's fatigue in there, performing at their absolute best. I.e., when they beat Porto, they beat them 3-1, followed by a 1-1 result against West Ham, and then they beat Marseille 3-0 to then follow up by a 1-0 result against Sheffield United. They then beat... So, here we are, Nicholas Steele. They then beat Olympiacos. Here we go. 3-0, followed up by a 1-1. But overall, Dan, we could be here all day talking about Manchester City, but overall, Dan, impressed by City?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, defensively...
Deserved winners, I suppose, I'm asking.
Yeah, I know people, the money and everything, and I'm very much looking forward to the final on Saturday. That'll be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Is it free to air by any chance, or is it just going to be BT?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I was just trying to find out if the Europa League final is going to be on YouTube tonight. I think it is. Maybe people in chat can confirm that, but I'd say 90% sure that both finals are on YouTube, because normally the Champions League final is free to watch on YouTube on BT Sport channel. But if people in chat can confirm, that'll be good, because obviously we want to see these games. Obviously the United game against Villarreal tonight, and then the Chelsea City final. But yeah, worthy winners. Let's move on, I think.
Just a quick one. Ramanathan saying that Sheffield United game, they had won with a single Kyle Walker goal, but the standards should have been.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, this is. I mean, Kyle Walker, of course, another player that scored against his old team, Traore, on Sunday. Scored against his old team, Chilwell. Next season, just captain anyone that's playing against their old team, for God's sake. But I think, there was a game against Southampton that we watched. If you remember, we covered, and Southampton were playing really well at the time. So let's not take anything away from them. But I think City, they just went quite fluid, and the Sheffield United game, Kyle Walker, long range shot, but they went firing on all cylinders. But it just seems that if we remember that away victory at Anfield 4-1, that's when it kind of kicked into gear for them.
Yeah.
Foden, Gundogan as well, captain for many people that game week.
Memories, just my thoughts on City, really. Every time I seem to watch them, and I know this is how they kind of play, but it's just such a shame that whenever I've watched them, which was, I don't know, 2 or 3 times this season, because most of the time they're on BT Sport, to be honest with you. And even when they were on Sky Sports, there was at times when I couldn't watch, but whatever. Every time I did watch them, it was almost like, as ever, teams would just sit back and they would just play it about until they try and find a breakthrough, specifically through Kevin De Bruyne, trying to get something out of nothing. But I was never, ever really impressed by Man City. But talking about a team that I was impressed by, we move on to second place. Your rivals, Man United, and Niraj is saying that yes, the Europa League and Champions League are on BT Sport YouTube. So
happy day. Yeah, I cancelled my BT subscription, so I'm happy to hear that.
There we
Good
go.
timing.
So yeah, Man United ended with 21 wins, all of them away basically. 11 draws, 6 defeats, scoring 73 goals, which is only 10 goals less than Man City, but they conceded 44. They ended on the season, like I said, 12 points clear behind City. Towards the end of the season, last 6 fixtures, they pretty much fell off a cliff. Drew 1, lost 1. But Man United, Dan, they're in the Europa League tonight. They will be looking to beat your old manager, Unai Emery. And a manager, of course, who won it, 3 times in a row. And then he got... Who was it? Did he get you to the final, the semi-final, Dan?
No, you have to. No, do you know what I was remembering this? He got us to the final, and it was 3 years ago. And the end of the season, me, you, Jason, and Capkin, we did the final day of the season stream. And then at the end of the stream, we'd done and dusted. I said, "Oh, come on, guys, let's do a prediction for the finals," because I think Liverpool were playing Tottenham that season. I think I'm right in saying that, in the Champions League final. So come on, guys, all the English teams are involved. We've got to predict these games. All right. And then I think I predicted, you said 3-2 Chelsea, and I think I might have said 3-2 Arsenal. But yeah, we got smashed 4-1 by bloody Chelsea. But yeah, Emery's done well to get them there. But yeah, United, obviously, that they've qualified for Champions League, but they'll be looking to win that trophy. Just to end the season on a high, really. But yeah, this season they've been fantastic away from home. I think they've got some sort of record, haven't they?
Before you continue, then, I just wanted to quickly just give you some basic memories. But yeah, I was going to say, obviously, Man United's away record this season was, let's not mess about here. It was incredible. So, away from home, they were unbeaten. Is that right? I believe they were unbeaten. And here we go here. Away from home, blah, 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 blah. Man United, 12 wins, 7 draws, 35 and 0 losses, 35 goals for, 16 goals against. My memories of Man United were essentially all they kept doing was keeping clean sheets against any top 6, essentially their rivals, just clean sheets. Every time they seemed to play away from home, they seemed to get a 0-0 draw. Some highlights from the opening weeks of the season, losing 6-1 to Tottenham.
Wow.
They beat 4-1 Newcastle United the following week, or 2 weeks later, they beat Newcastle United 4-1. If you remember, beating Paris Saint-Germain 2-1 away. RB Leipzig 5-0. Some other then really after that, other than that 9-0 victory against Southampton, you had a beaten Roma 6-2. If you remember recently, that was on the 29th of April. But yeah, they're opening several fixtures. Lost to Crystal Palace on the opening day of the weekend, which was on the 19th for them, so that was game week 2. Then they beat Luton 3-0 in the League Cup. Back in the Premier League, they beat, if you remember, Brighton 3-2. I believe that was that. Well, I could find out, but it's going to cut off everything. But it was 3-2 to Man United. I believe
that was
it was
the penalty.
Fernandes, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was great. And Brighton, they hit the crossbar like hit like 3 times. Trossard hit the crossbar 3 times. Something stupid like that.
I'll find out now. I can easily find out because it'll have it on the match centre, and I think it'll tell me pretty much how many times. Trossard hit the bar. Trossard hit it 3 times, and Solomon March hit it once. So 4 times in the match they hit the woodwork. They then went on to play Brighton again in the League Cup, beating them 3-0. They then lost 6-1 to Tottenham, like I said. Then they went on a bit of a period where they won in the Premier League against Newcastle. They beat Paris Saint-Germain. They drew against Chelsea 0-0. Then they beat RP Leipzig, and everybody's thinking, oh, here we go. And then what happened, Dan? They lost to you lot 1-0. Do you remember that match at all?
Yes, I do. I mean, Aubameyang got the penalty, of course.
Right, okay.
Defensively, well, he converted the penalty. Defensively, very solid. El Nene had this amazing game in the midfield. Partey was quite solid. And I think AFTV got a bit overexcited. They started doing a song and a dance at the end of the game. If
really?
you go onto YouTube and just take your time with it was the song, and they were all having a dance and saying "Take your time with it." And I was thinking, if we'd have won a final, I could understand. But the context to it was this is so ridiculous that we had not won in the league at Old Trafford since Emmanuel Adebayor's late winner in 2006. I think it was. Yeah, it was 2006, September 2006. So it's just, I think that's what it was all about, really.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, nuts.
Do you think
Fabregas with the assist that day?
I mean, I'm stating the blinking obvious because obviously wherever these teams end up, they end up. But do you think that Man United were deserved runners up? I mean, there was that time when everybody thought they're going to go on to potentially win the league.
Yeah, I think they had the little. Obviously, they beat Man City away. That was an excellent victory. United are just an excellent counter-attacking team, really, and they've certainly turned it on. I think Cavani, I have to hold my hands up. Start of the season, I wasn't sure about him, but he's proved me wrong. Proved many people wrong. He's been excellent. He's been a great influence on Greenwood, and they've certainly, Rashford has had his sort of good times during the season, but I think it's all about Fernandes. Let's be honest, he's the Eric Cantona, Ronaldo of the team, the player that just lifts them above on certain occasions. And there was the game against Leeds that we covered, 6-2 as well.
I was about to say one of the standout memories for me was, of course, captaining Martial in that game where he could have he got a hat-trick of assists, but he really should have had not only a hat-trick of assists but a hat-trick of goals as well. I've literally got that in front of my face right now, and I was like, yeah, how frustrating that was, because that was kind of like at a time when I was kind of like, you know what, I feel a bit more confident about my prep. This was on for anybody that's listening, I'll give you, when do you think that game was, Dan? You don't need to give me an exact date, but roughly what date do you think that was?
I haven't got a clue.
It was on the 20th of December. So yes, it was on the 20th
days before Christmas.
Yeah,
okay.
So it was on the 20th of December, and I was just. This is a team which at the time I was like, you know what, you got to back United. They're just doing everything. I think I had. I'm probably making this up, but Fernandes, Martial, and possibly a defender in my team, I'm not sure, but certainly had Martial and Fernandes. And I just remember when that Martial captain paid off, I was like, thank God my luck is finally changing. It didn't, but It was at a period when I remembered actually climbing up the ranks and everything and thinking, thank God something's changing in the sea. Unfortunately not, but yeah, Man United for me was certainly a team which I am every time they were on, apart from the game when I had to turn off when they played against Fulham. Always enjoyed watching them. I think it's that, like you were mentioning, Fernandez flair, virtually playing every single minute of every single game. And another, I just realised another. Do you remember when they played that team in Europe when they were already through, and Fernandez started, didn't he? I can't remember what specific game that was, and I'm sure someone in the chat will remember this, but it was against, is it Istanbul? Başakşehir, however it's pronounced. And it was definitely in the Europa League. Or maybe even the Champions League, possibly.
It would have been the Champions League, and they, I don't know, it's difficult because this last year, I don't know, I feel like we've lost a year and it blends all into one, but I know they lost 2-1 to them, and there was I think, didn't Demba Ba score? Was that the season before? I'm really getting and there was a ridiculous goal that he scored because it was just like broke from the halfway line. I don't know, I might be getting confused for the season before,
but people are actually saying that it was that Istanbul game. So Karma Baby's saying it's pronounced Başakşehir. Yes.
Yeah.
Demba Ba, Ramanathan, yes, Demba Ba was in the team. Istanbul won.
He's such a panto villain, isn't he?
Who's this, Demba Ba?
Demba Ba. Yeah, it's 2021, and then we have to remember obviously the Liverpool game, and now he comes back out of nowhere and then scores the winner against United. I do love these. I don't know. I've got a bit of a thing for these veteran players that come back, like the whole Suarez thing with Atletico Madrid winning the league, and Barcelona just said, well, you're getting on a bit. We're just going to give you to Atletico. We don't really need you. There you go. Give us 50p. And then he went and helped them win the league.
yeah, absolutely. So
So,
obviously Man United ending up second, and ending up third, Dan, was last year's champions, and I agree with Football 365 here. Liverpool, a team who just suffered from mental fatigue after winning the Champions League in the first season and coming so close in the 2019-2020 season, pushing City all the way with like a world record amount of points and still missed out. And then obviously the following season, so last year, they then win the title without the fans, and then this year it clearly caught up with them. They won out of the 38 games, they won 20, drew 9, lost 9, scored only. I say only. They scored 68, conceded 42. At home was their main problems, Dan. Winning 10, drew 3, lost 6, scored 29, conceded 20. This was at home, whereas away from home, very similar again. 110, drew 6, lost 3. So basically they've just switched around. But away from home they scored 39, conceded 22. And Dan, Liverpool, we all had hopes that they'd be challenging City again. But like I said, Football 365 making the very, very interesting point about the fact they're clearly suffering from mental fatigue. Certain injuries as well. But then again, the players that people were talking about that they were losing, that they had lost in Van Dijk and Gomez, they were still playing in these losses, like, for instance, in the 7-2 loss to Liverpool. In fact, here's a trivia question for you, Dan, and anybody that's listening now or watching. Here's a trivia question for you guys here. Liverpool lost 7-2 to Aston Villa. However, 2 games prior to that, they had beaten someone 7-2. In fact, stuff that. Prior to that Aston Villa loss of 7-2, they had beaten 2 teams 7-2. Who were those 2 teams? Dan, would you have any idea?
What in the history of Liverpool? What we talking about here?
This would have been. This was this specific season. Although, admittedly, one of them was a friendly, so I suppose you could probably discount that. So, okay, I'll give you the friendly. Then they beat Blackpool 7-2, but in the League Cup, they actually beat someone 7-2 before they lost 7-2 themselves. Do you know who that team was, Dan?
Oh, no, it's going to be a lower league team, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes.
I'm going to say Grimsby, just as a guess.
No, and no one in the chat space. Not many people watching, but not many people are watching this and really answering. But Nick Tool saying Crystal Palace, Denver saying Crystal Palace, Karma Baby, Fulham. I'm afraid no, it was Karma Baby. If you weren't cheating, was it Lincoln? Yes, it was.
Yeah. I knew it was like a lower league, and they obviously put out a sort of second string, but they still romped home. I think Shaqiri got a couple of goals, didn't he?
Zawari, Shrewsbury, Naraj Burton, Josh Tellisford. No, it was in the League Cup. And yeah, looking at their opening games, specifically in the obviously from their point of view. So they opened on the opening day, if you remember, 4-3 against Leeds. Then they followed that up with a 2-0 victory over Chelsea. Then they beat, like I said, Lincoln 7-2. Can you remember how much they beat you by, Dan?
Jesus, man. 3-1, wasn't it? Yeah.
Spot on, yeah. 28th of September that was, and everybody's thinking, oh, here we go. But then, Dan,
they played really well that night. They just, we had a couple. I remember Lacazette had a good chance at 2-1, but at that time it was all rosy. But obviously the injuries throughout the season, you can't deny that. Leaders like Van Dijk and Henderson and Fabinho, it just ripped through the core of their team essentially, really. And then obviously the confidence gets knocked, and so they brought it back, of course. I mean, with everyone had written them off. That insane moment when Alisson got the 95th minute winner. Obviously he's had a very difficult time personally, of course. So it's nice to see him get the goal and dedicate it to the memory of his father afterwards. And then, just the confidence went on from then. And they, Mane getting the goals, final day of the season against Palace. And I suppose in hindsight, reflecting back, they'll be happy that they've got the win. The win. Back in the Champions League.
Absolutely. I mean, after that 3-1 defeat to Liverpool, do you remember what happened directly after that? Just 3 or 4 days later, Dan? Do you remember?
Say that again.
So on the 28th of September, you lost 3-1 to them. But do you remember what happened in the League Cup on the 1st of October, Dan?
League Cup in the 1st of October? No, I don't.
You lot drew 0-0, but you went through on penalties. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. Bloody hell, yeah. That was Maitland.
Can I just? This is why I do everything live, because you do not get reaction. Go for it, Dan.
Maitland-Niles with the Cheshire Cat grin.
What does that mean? Talk to us about what the hell does that mean?
The keeper was trying to psych him out, and Maitland-Niles he walked up to this penalty and he did this languid walk and he scored, and then when he finished the penalty, he was just smiling like this Cheshire Cat grin on his face and looking back at the goalie as if to say, what do you think you're trying to do? Mug me off or something? It was, I'm almost feeling positive about Arsenal seasons now, thinking about that.
Well, it seems
remarkable 0-0 draw.
You see, a bit like with City, so like they to be fair, they started off really well. Then they lost. Well, they went out of the cup to you. Then they lost 7-2 to Aston Villa. They then drew with Everton 2-2, despite Everton having a man sent off. But then they went on an unbeaten streak for 7 or 8 games, which included a 5-0 win against Atalanta. Then the only loss between the 17th of October all the way up to the 30th December was, funny enough, 2-0 away, 2-0 at home to Atalanta. So they beat Atalanta 5-0 away, but then they lost 2-0. But from the 4th of January, they lost 1-0 to Southampton, and between the 4th of January all the way up to April, the 6th of April, they had lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, including Southampton. So they lost 10 games in quite a short period of time. They'd only won in that period 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, and they only drew 1. Some of the losses, most notably the 1-0 one against us, Burnley. Like I said, 1-0 against Southampton. They lost 3-2 in the FA Cup to Man United. In the Premier League, they lost 3 in a row, if you remember. 1-0 to Brighton, 4-1 to Man City, you made this point, and then 3-1 to Leicester. And then if you remember this, they beat RB Leipzig 2-0. And everybody was thinking at the time, oh, here they are, they're back. And then they actually then went and lost 2-0 to Everton. Then they came back and beat Sheffield United 2-0. Followed that up by a 1-0 loss to Chelsea. And then they lost to who 1-0, Dan? I'll give you a clue. It was another West London club.
Oh, Chelsea.
No. They lost to Chelsea 1-0. Yep. Who's the other West London club?
Sorry. Fulham.
Yep. Yeah, so, and then of course, like you mentioned, the last 5 games where essentially they just need to win all of them. They went on a storming run, winning all 5 games. 2-0 against Liverpool, 4-2 against United, 2-1 against West Brom, and then 3-0 against Burnley, 2-0 against Crystal Palace. But overall, I must say I was very, me personally, whenever I watched Liverpool, I wasn't particularly impressed. Salah, despite scoring 22 goals, wasn't it? For me, always, whenever I watched him, was just stuck out on that right-hand side, always looked like a frustrated player, always wanted to do more, but just couldn't seem to do anything. Mane had a bit of a stinker, despite finding out on Planet FPL today that he scored 16 goals this season. I don't know if that's specifically meant in the Premier League or across the board, but certainly Liverpool, for me, just did nothing for me whatsoever that really impressed me. And talking to teams that half and half impressed me, so underneath Tuchel I was very impressed, underneath Lampard not really. Was Chelsea down? Chelsea ending up 4th, winning 19, drawing 10, losing 9, scoring 58, conceding 36. Dan, any real memories? I mean, from a fantasy football perspective, we all remember that time when they went on, and I'll be able to bring it up in a minute, where they had about what seemed like 12 games of clean sheets. I mean, I'll be able to find it out pretty much now, to be honest with you, once Thomas Tuchel turned up. And yep, here it is here. It's looking like it was from when Chelsea drew 0-0 with Wolverhampton on the 27th of January. They then won 2-0, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-0, 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 0-0, 2-0, 2-0. So a period of almost 2 months of essentially conceding, 1 or 2 goals in that period. But prior to that, Chelsea were, of course, a team which were known for conceding lots and lots of goals. And once again, Dan, they came 4th eventually after that loss to Aston Villa. Yeah, Dan, Chelsea, any memories, thoughts on them?
Well, I mean, they're top scorer in the league, and I mentioned this on stream on Saturday morning. Jorginho, 7 goals. I thought I was wrong saying that, and then it was confirmed on Match of the Day, Sunday evening. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of... the thing is, obviously, because I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm going to be a bit biased, but I don't really know how they've kind of got there in a way. I mean, Mason Mount's been excellent this season. You know, obviously, Tuchel, when he came in, they got lots of clean sheets. So defensively, you know, they've been solid. Mendy's been excellent in goal for them. And Rudiger's been an excellent asset, you know, nice and cheap. So I have to pay homage to him for lots of defensive points for my team. But, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of... I mean, Werner's not really hit the ground running. He's become a bit of, you know... I don't know. I almost feel sorry for him, but they've managed to do it. Really, I suppose it's been defensive solidity and getting some, grinding out some good wins from time to time. They had a bit of luck on Sunday, but in the Champions League, they've been absolutely fantastic against Real Madrid. In that second leg, they're absolutely electric. So you've got to give credit where it's due. I know that they're your second team, and you're probably disappointed that Hudson-Odoi hasn't played more games. But they do have quality in depth. Let's not muck around here. As much as Pulisic is an excellent player.
Oh, he is my fun boy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Pulisic is he's a great player to watch as well. But I think for me they've got there, but yeah, I think it's more they'd be more just impressive with the Champions League side of things, really, with the victories there. In all honesty, I suppose Chilwell's done well. He's got a couple of assists throughout the season, so he's been a solid signing for them as well. Really, Azpilicueta has come back in the team with his leadership skill. Sent off on Sunday. I know it's been overturned since, but I suppose Thiago Silva. Actually, I didn't mention Thiago. He had a very difficult start to the season. That 3-3 draw away to West Brom, but he sort of picked himself back up and has done very well this season, and proved the sort of critics wrong. Another veteran that's done well. So they're in the top four. So.
Well, talking of that 3-3 draw, so I remember actually a memory you just brought back, which was Jason. I believe he captained Werner in that game. I think everybody was captaining a Chelsea player for that particular fixture. I'm sure Jason captained Werner or Abraham or someone in that particular fixture. And I was just out on a walk and I was going absolutely mental at the fact that the internet kept cutting off and the YouTube kept pausing and starting. All I wanted to do was just on a pleasant walk listen to a Poxy stream while hearing what's going on this particular fixture, and I just couldn't get anything. And yet ironically I was able to access livescore.com and I was really desperate to find out what Werner had done. Essentially did nothing. I mean, here's a question for you, Dan, and here's a question for everybody else. Here's a bit of a trivia for anybody listening in. Dan and chat, here's a question for you. They drew 3-3 with West Brom. Just a few weeks later, on the... Well, I'm not going to give away the date just in case someone cheats. They drew 3-3 again, and this was a Premier League game, Dan. Who did they draw 3-3 against once again in the Premier League just a few weeks later after that 3-3 draw with West Brom? Do you know?
Man, that's a tough question. I'm gonna just guess. I'm gonna say, no, I can't eat because I'm just trying to think.
You're clearly not going to get it, so let's just give the praise to Ramanathan. Ramanathan got it. It was Southampton. They beat them they drew 3-3 at home to Southampton. The goals coming from, you guessed it, Timo Werner with 2 goals and an assist. Can you guess? Now, these are the kind of questions, everybody, if you are interested in the quiz, these are the kind of questions that I'll be asking. Who did Werner assist the 3rd goal for? So Werner got 2 goals and an assist, but who did the assist that 3rd goal?
I remember that game now.
Okay, so maybe that could help you if you remember.
Well, I mean, I remember Werner's goal because it was quality. But I say I remember the game. I can't even remember the team at first, could I?
I'm
going to guess.
We've got a winner in the chat. Well done. Go on, Dan.
I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess Pulisic.
No, it was well done to Zavar and Faris. Havertz.
Havertz, yes.
Yeah.
The new Michael Ballack.
Yeah, remember him? So, blimey, Dan, what's going on there? So, it was a 3-3 draw. And the goals for Southampton, just for interest. Vestergaard has been mentioned, a worldie of a header. Danny Ings and Che Adams getting a goal and an assist that particular fixture. I mean, between the periods of the 26th of September all the way up to the 8th of December, Chelsea did not lose a single match. They'd won quite a few and they drew quite a few, but they definitely didn't lose. But then after that period, on the 12th of December, they lost 1-0 to Everton. They lost 2-1 to Wolves. They then beat West Ham 3-0. But guess what, Dan? You lot beat them by what score?
1-0.
No. A lot higher than that. You're being pessimistic. No, it was a lot higher than that.
3-1.
3-1.
Sorry, I was getting confused with the game. So we've done a double over Chelsea for the first time since 2003-2000 league.
Do you have any? Do you have any memories of that particular fixture, Dan?
Yeah, because we were in the relegation fight at the time. We were up 15th in the league, and
what on Boxing Day?
Yeah, yeah, roughly. We were 15th. Yeah. And my friend was saying, I had a dream. I've dreamt that Arsenal beat Chelsea. Put your money on it. And I was like, you're mad. And then, they played really well that day. Smith Rowe, Lacazette. And, I think it was one of the games that got Lampard to sack. So it was a happy Christmas all round, really.
We then,
goodbye, Frank. Off you go back to the Championship. Bye.
Of course, the team that everybody likes to call the Bottlers now. We move on to Leicester, ending up in 5th. 2 seasons now, they've been, in the top 4 for like 58 weeks out of 60 or something ridiculous like that. This particular season, they won 20, drew 6, lost 12. Obviously, their home record was shocking this particular year. Winning 9, drawing 1, lost 9. But away from home, they were incredible. Winning 11, drew 5, lost 3. Do you think that, Dan, it's been a bit harsh to call Leicester Bottlers? I mean, I know you jokingly say it, but what do you think? Are Leicester Bottlers, or do you think that people are being a bit harsh and actually Chelsea and Liverpool?
No, in all honesty, it is a bit harsh because, I mean, they've had big problems of injuries in the second half of the season, and that have been well documented. And they won the FA Cup, finished 5th. They don't have a sort of crazy budget like Chelsea or Man City, but they do have a good scouting network, and they're able to pick up players like Fofana, for example. And and Vardy's still going on, of course, as well. And I think Leicester have had a great season. It's just a shame. It's a repeat of last season, isn't it? That's the issue. Where last season they lost at home to Manchester United, and this season they obviously lost at home to Tottenham when they had their destiny in their hands. This season, you'd have thought they could have done it against Spurs, but it's one of those things. Really, I think the disappointment for me with Leicester is that game against Chelsea. I know it was after the cup final, but I just felt that they just kind of let Chelsea dominate them, really. And but I think they've still in terms of points. Iniacho, if I can say his name right, he was a player that I bought in before the game against West Ham, and I did the transfer, and I thought, are you mad? Why have you bought this guy in? And then he got a brace, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it. And then he went on a scoring run. And when I bought him in, he was 5.5 million. And I was just, he's turned this season around with some excellent goals. They've played good football. And it's just a shame that they couldn't get into that Champions League. But, they won a trophy, and they're in Europe. And it just shows, when a club is well run, when there's, a good manager in charge, a good scouting network, that you can achieve things. So, well done to Leicester for, finishing so high.
Here's a quiz question for you, Dan. How long have we been on air for?
We've been on for about an hour. I thought we were just for an hour.
We've been on air for an hour. An hour, everybody. This is ridiculous. So I think we're going to have to speed this up, mate, because we can get for another. This is ridiculous. I honestly cannot believe we've been here for an hour. That has flown by. Just quickly saying that Ramanathan's saying no Barnes and Maddison was harsh to them. Karma Baby, Maddison was a massive disappointment all season. Where is his career going? I remember the Grealish versus Maddison debate. Yeah, I'm not going to gloss... Well, I've got it in front of me, but I'm not going to gloss over all of that, really. Like various results and whatnot, because like literally we would be here all day. But got the likes of West Ham, who have done exceedingly well this year. Tottenham and Arsenal. Now let's just talk about these two as a bunch, shall we? So Dan, obviously you're an Arsenal fan and whatnot. So yeah, you as an Arsenal fan, and also, let's be honest here, closely following Tottenham and everything. How would you put both your seasons down as this year? Very disappointing, or time to reassess everything? What do you think?
Yeah, I think, let's look at West Ham and Leicester that finished above us, two clubs that have, their players have sort of pulled together. And with Arsenal and Tottenham, just disappointment. I mean, I'm going to get really stuck into Arsenal pretty soon, but for Tottenham, the Europa League, they sort of they blew that in quite incredible style, really. Obviously, they had a 2-0 lead, and then they lost 3-0 on the rest of the Dynamo Zagreb, I think it was. And yeah, I mean, they started the season well. Obviously, Mourinho was in charge. They were at the top of the league, and then it kind of went wrong for them. I mean, Bale, he's kind of, he's not always started, and then he's had these moments like the goals against Burnley, the goals against Leicester, and he's had his little purple patches, but then he's not been able to do it consistently throughout the season because there's a lot of hype around it. But having said that, Son and Kane, as normal, these guys, the numbers don't lie. They've both had fantastic seasons. I think that hug between Dele Alli, Son and Kane on the final game against Leicester was quite telling, wasn't it, really? Because it was quite a close hug, and I think that might be, obviously the end of Harry Kane at Tottenham, possibly Dele Alli as well, who's had a bit of a late resurgence this season, really. But Ryan Mason's come in and tried to do his best, and they've had some standout results, obviously beating faces, but at the end of the day, Tottenham keep finishing above us, but haven't won anything, and the Audi Cup does not count. I'm sorry, that would be like me saying that the Emirates Cup is probably more prestigious than the Audi Cup. So I'm sorry, Tottenham, you might finish above us, but you'll never be bigger, and you still don't win anything.
Well, before you get onto your rant about Arsenal, Karma Baby saying Arteta has shown an extraordinary lack of maturity all season. He didn't know his best player in any position all season long. He has to go. Why is he still in the job? Dan, take it away.
Okay, so quite simply, Arteta was brought in because he was a cheaper option. Okay, great guy. Passion for Arsenal, you cannot deny. Wears his heart on his sleeve. He's got some, potential, certainly as a manager, made us defensively more solid. But we've, the first half of the season's been a nightmare. Now, the second half of the season, actually, we've improved a lot, in terms of the numbers and whatnot. Defensively, we've had one of the best defences in the league by numbers, but the fact of the matter is that we beat Leicester away, we beat Chelsea away, we beat Manchester United away, but we lost at home to your boys, Burnley. We drew at home to Palace, and we've just, we couldn't beat Fulham at home. We've just not been able to break teams down. But I'm still hurt about the Europa League because I honestly feel that a better manager would have got us to that Europa League final. And tonight, I'll be buzzing. It'd be Arsenal United, Europa League final. Be absolutely buzzing. But we self-sabotaged. We played a false number 9 system that we not played all season, and that didn't work in the first leg. Ceballos was he's on this one-man mission to try and get himself back to Madrid, I think, and not play because he just self-destructed, got sent off. The return leg, there was just nothing. I can't swear, but it was just pathetic. But typical Arsenal, really, that ever since then we've gone on a run of winning games, and Pepe's started to play well. Pepe's had a good season, actually, playing with a smile on his face, a bit more confidence, and it feels like the manager's got more trust in him. But the fact of the matter is, Arteta's going to be there next season. Kroenke's still going to be there. You just got to hope. The only good thing I could say about this season is that we got rid of some dead wood. Mustafi, he was released and he's been released again, okay? Because Schalke got relegated. So he's been released twice in the space of 5 months. What does that say? Got rid of some other players. Obviously, Ozil went. There was the whole drama around that. There's obviously more going on behind the scenes that we're not always privy to. So, yeah, I just think it's a case of, Lacazette had a good season, but Aubameyang's been poor. The bright spark, on a more positive note, is Smith Rowe. He's really, been excellent this season. Saka's been my player of the season. He's dropped off a little bit towards the end of the season. No, I don't think Saka should. He's definitely got to be in that England squad. I'll be disappointed if he's not. But he's been excellent this season. And Joe Willock going on loan to Newcastle and getting 7 goals in 7 games. You just couldn't write stuff like this. So yeah, there we go.
Sorry about the sound issues there. That's actually it's got nothing to do with Dan. It's actually my end there, because essentially to look at these statistics and everything, I need to go on a website, which clearly, for whatever reason, interrupts Dan's Discord, but it doesn't matter. But I'm just looking at the issues that he had this year. Really, it was home Dan, winning 8, drawing 4, losing 7, scoring only 24 goals, but conceding 21. Clearly, at home defensively and not there, goal scoring just not there. Whereas away from home, really a completely different story. 10 wins, 3 draws, 6 losses, scoring 31, conceding only 18. Well, do you have any idea what you put that down to?
Like I say, I think Arteta is a defensive manager, really, and it was like, I think James from Planet FPL at the start of the season was trying to work out whether Arsenal were like a defensive counter-attacking team. We are, really. And that's how he set us up. Like that win away to Leicester, the win away to Chelsea, United. It was, if you remember the cup victory last season, the template was like against Man City, be defensive and go for the counter-attack with Aubameyang on the counter-attack and play deep and, hit teams with a sucker punch, like against Liverpool, of course, and we beat them as well. But then we got kind of found out. It's all right doing that against Liverpool or Manchester City, but when you come up at home, against Fulham, we couldn't beat them. We had to get Matt Ryan to get the pre-assist from the corner in the 97th minute with Nketiah. And when we really needed it, against Villarreal, they just went missing, and there was just no dynamic players. I think Odegaard's done quite well when he's come in, actually, but he, unfortunately, once again, he picked up an injury on international duty, and but he looked quite good on Sunday. So I'd like to see him there for another season if he wants to stay. That would be good. But yeah, it's just that creative spark. But I think a big thing has been the fullbacks. Bellerin will be off in the summer. That looks almost certain now. Tierney's been great, but he's been injured quite a bit. So yeah, I think that the fullbacks, that's been a big issue, really. And there's still a lot of dead wood to get rid of in the summer, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of a non-Deadwood, Leeds United, they've come up from the Championship. They played exactly like they did in the Championship, which is just attack. But also playing some very good defensive football by all accounts, ending up 9th just behind you. And I just remember a quote that you said on, I think it was Saturday, I can't even remember now, mate, but whenever it was, you said they deserve to be above us. They deserve to be above us. Any thoughts on Leeds, Dan?
Just fantastic this season, really. They have been a breath of fresh air. You know, Bamford, was it 17 goals this season or something like that? Dallas, 8 goals, and they've got an amazing manager. And he's made a big difference, really. And they've come into the Premier League not afraid. They've taken a few batterings, but they've dished out a few batterings as well. 3-0 away to Villa. Bamford hat-trick early in the season. Remember that one? And, smacked up Tottenham 3-1. Harrison, he's on loan from Man City. I didn't actually realise that till the other day. But Rafinha, they bought well. And they've got a style of playing on ethos that they've stuck to throughout the season, and it's paid off. And they've just been a great team to watch, really. And well done to Leeds for Leeds is a Premier League team. They've been out of the league for so long, so well done to them for coming back in the league and finishing so high.
Yeah, absolutely. To all the teams that finished. One team finished the end of the season really disappointingly in Everton, and virtually on the same points. Aston Villa, who without Grealish can't win essentially, whereas Everton, they just seem to, a bit like Liverpool this year, seem to have just dropped off, seem to have maybe not used to being that high, but Ancelotti's standards just didn't seem to continue into the second half of the season. And Everton, unfortunately, we all know their home record. I mean, at home, they're flaming out terrible. They only won 6 games at home, drew 4, lost 9, scored 24 at home, conceded 28. Whereas away from home, won 11, drawn 4, lost 4, scored 23, conceded 20. So defensively, not particularly that great this year whatsoever. And if I look at their fixtures, the last, say, 10 games, if not maybe 15 games or whatnot, maybe that will tell us the main story. I mean, yes, it does really. So since the 8th of March, they won. In fact, here's a question for you, Dan. So between the 8th of March, including cup games, which was only one cup game, and which includes one cup game, they beat 3 teams. All those games ended 1-0 to Everton. Can you name those 3 teams, Dan?
Blimey.
So in 13 matches, they only won 3 games, all 1-0.
Okay.
Who were those teams against?
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna say Chelsea.
No, but one of them is from London. I'll give you a clue. You support them.
Barnet. Hello? Yeah, obviously us. Yeah, I remember that game was dire. I think Arteta was still supporting Everton then. So yeah, obviously us.
I'll give you a clue. They both begin with W, and Francis Logan has got one of them.
West Ham?
Yeah, yes.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, Calvert-Lewin.
And then finally, who else begins with W in the Premier League?
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
That's correct. And also, what a weird statistic. So actually, since Valentine's Day this year, the 14th of February, actually they've only won 6 games. The other 3 games, guess what, Dan? 2 of them ended 1-0. The other was 2-0. 2-0 against Liverpool. They beat Southampton 1-0. And they also beat the other team that begins with W 1-0 against West Brom. How bizarre is that? And then, of course, Aston Villa, a team who, I saw this statistic the other day. In fact, Aston Villa have been one of my teams of the season, to be honest with you. From a watching point of view, every time I seem to have watched Aston Villa, always seem to put on a show, always seem to perform really, really well. But the statistic I saw was something to do with the fact that when Jack Grealish is in the team, essentially they win 50% of their games. Without him, it's something like 20%. And if I look at, obviously, the time period that Jack Grealish was out, which was quite... I heard it on Planet FPL today, so I'm like game week 25. But, I mean, I can see straight away... well, I say that. I mean, it's just loss, draw, loss. Between the periods from the... funny enough, a bit like Everton, from the 3rd of March, they only won 4 matches. They lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including the 3rd, and they drew 4. But I think the biggest story from Aston Villa this season, forget Grealish, from a fantasy football perspective, Dan, you know exactly what I'm going to say here. It was your former goalkeeper, Martinez. Did you ever see this coming when he came to Aston Villa, that he would be the one that would essentially save Aston Villa?
Well, I mean, he helped us win the FA Cup, the Community Shield, and then he was gone, really. Yeah. I mean, I wish he was still at Arsenal. I don't think Leno's had a brilliant... So, yeah, it's been a great signing for Villa. It's been poor for us. But he's been in my team most of the season, so that says it all, really. Very commanding goalkeeper. And just disappointed that we didn't keep on to him, really. But Villa spent well. You know, they got Ollie Watkins in. You know, obviously Martin and those guys have helped propel them up the league, because last season they only just stayed up. Expense of my second Bournemouth. So Villa have had a really good season. It's held off a bit, but then the last 2 fixtures, beating Tottenham, beating Chelsea, that they've got back to their best. El Ghazi, let's not forget him. Traore, Ginn, you know, they've got some good players in there. So they've played a bit more to their strengths. Obviously, Grealish has been fantastic. Fingers crossed they will fit him raring to go for the summer. But I'm sure Southgate will probably play him as a midfielder. But yeah, no, I mean, fair play to Villa. They've had a good season, and it'll be interesting what they do in the summer transfer.
Karma Baby, I have no idea what that reference is. I'll give you a clue. You live there. You'll have to literally tell me the answer. And he's saying here, thanks for sending us Martinez, Dan. Very generous. Now, essentially, the best of the worst from Newcastle winning the best of the bad bunch trophy. Newcastle, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Brighton. I mean, Southampton and Brighton probably the biggest disappointments this season. I think we all had high hopes for them to do quite well. Then we've got, obviously, us lot, Burnley, Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield United. I mean, a question for you, Dan, actually. If Sam Allardyce had been with West Brom for the whole season, do you reckon he would have kept them up?
Possibly. Yes, possibly. I mean, they did have some good results when he came in. Drew with Man City. That was Bilic's last game. They drew with Liverpool. They beat Chelsea away 5-2, but they had some pretty bad results as well. Memory serves me right, losing 4-0 at home to us and losing 5-0 at home to someone else. I can't remember, actually. Might be Man City. But, I mean, I'm very surprised when you say Brighton being disappointed. I completely disagree, actually.
I should say, let me just clarify. I mean, considering last season how well we thought they were going to perform this year and probably get into like the top 10, they've ended up where they have done, which is, of course, just above us in 16th, 2 points more. I think that's quite damning. I mean, they had about 400,000 chances. They couldn't put any of the goals into the back of the net. I mean, what is it? They've got the highest ever expected goals to score in one season.
I didn't realise they were that far down, actually, only because they've had some really good standout results against like some of the top, tier teams.
Well, do you know what? We'll get onto them. I mean, another team that I'm very disappointed with this season, Wolves. I mean, I can't remember who it was, but someone said about in a stream previously that at the end of the day, if you're going to get rid of, like, essentially Doherty, Jota, and then also Jimenez out for the rest of the season, they've done appalling this year, and obviously Nuno leaving. But yeah, any quick thoughts on Wolves, Dan? If you have any, about the fact that how?
I mean, yeah, they Jota and Doherty going. That was two big sources of goals for them, and then Jimenez, that awful injury. Hopefully he'll be back next season. But yeah, that's not been great for them. I mean, the sort of spark for them has been Neto, and he got injured. So they've had a bit of misfortune and bad luck. But I think, not to pick on the guy, but Fabio Silva's not quite there yet. Still very young, very raw, as I've said before on previous streams from when I've seen him. But I think Wolves will be okay. I mean, they've still got Traoré that obviously can do the damage, and they've just got to focus on their recruitment in the summer. I mean, Cody obviously got the call up. England team has scored I think he scored on his debut or something. So Cody's had some good parts of the season. But yeah, they've just had some crucial players get injured or move on. I think they'll be okay next season as long as they get the right manager in, and just look to recruit striker that when Jimenez is out, can tip him some goals really.
So here's a question for you. So listen to this chat. So we just talk about Brighton. Well, between the 26th of September all the way to the 2nd of January, they won one game, one measly, stinking game. And that was on the 21st of the 11th. Who did they beat on that day despite having a player sent off? It's in the Premier League as well.
Was it us?
No, I'll give you a clue. This individual is writing in the chat now, and I've mentioned him about 20 times today.
Villa?
Yeah, they beat Aston Villa 2-1 despite having a man sent off. So let me just quickly look at this here. That was a 3:00 kickoff. It was. Can you name the player that was sent off, Dan? He was sent off with 2 yellow cards within the space of 3 minutes. Can you name that player, Dan? It was a very popular Premier League, fantasy football asset. Very popular.
For Villa?
No, for Brighton.
For Wolves, sorry, for Wolves. Oh, for Brighton. Sorry, got it. Bloody hell, I'm getting my words mixed up here. Very close. This was at the start. Well, I say the start of the season. I'll give you a clue. This is way before he got his season-ending injury. Oh.
Do you remember this player?
No, I can't.
It was Lamptey.
Oh yes, yeah, bloody hell.
Lamptey. Well, there we are. Mario came in there. Yeah, it was Lamptey. The goal scorers that day were Welbeck and Solomon March, and the assisters were Lallana and Gross. So yeah, their problems really. They just couldn't win, Dan. There was a period including an FA Cup game between the 16th of January up to the 6th of February, where they won 4 and drew 2. Those 2 draws were against Fulham and us, Burnley, so they're relegation rivals. But they beat Liverpool 1-0, Tottenham 1-0, Leeds 1-0. There was only a goal in it between them and Blackpool in a 2-1 victory. So it would appear to me, as we all know, that it's just the lack of goals. We're talking about lack of goals, Dan. The rest of the teams that are in that bottom line, we'll talk about Burnley now. Just this season, Dan has just been unable to score goals. 33 goals scored this season. 10 of them being scored by 12 of them, but I'm assuming 10 of them were in the Premier League, because James was talking about it today, because this covers everything. So Chris Wood this season has scored 12 goals in 32 appearances and 1 sub. Although then again, actually, that could be Premier League. I don't know. I don't actually know specifically. But yeah, the problem with us this season, Dan, like I said, is scoring goals. We can do a job. We can get those 1-0 victories or get the draws that are required to get those points. But the reality, I mean, I'm looking here now between the 13th of February up to the, within the space of 4 weeks up to the 13th of March, we only lost once. That was against Tottenham, which was a 4-0 loss. But we'd won against Crystal Palace 3-0. We drew with Fulham and West Brom 1-1 and 0-0. Then we drew with you lot 1-1. With Leicester 1-1. We beat Everton 2-1. It was that period where we got our points that we just essentially needed to stay up, because since then we then went on to lose 3 games. Then we won against Wolves 4-0 when I was down your end. Then we lost to West Ham, beat Fulham, and those 6 points there against relegation rivals, so to speak, saved us. And with the fact that the likes of Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield United, again, like us, you think we can't score. They were an absolute shambles. Fulham only scoring 27 goals. To be fair, West Brom actually scored 35, but I think 30 of them came in the last 10 games with Sam Allardyce, and Sheffield United only scoring 20. But as you can see here, Fulham conceding 53 goals, West Brom 76, Sheffield United 63. Then you've got the likes of Southampton conceding 68, Crystal Palace 66, Newcastle 62, whereas we only, but 55 goals conceded. Brighton 46, you've got the likes of Wolves 52. We conceded one more goal than Leeds, who conceded 54. In fact, we only conceded 11 more goals than... 10 more goals than Tottenham, and we only conceded 8 more goals than West Ham. And it's crazy when I'm looking at it now. It's like, what the hell? We only conceded 5 more than Leicester. So if we could actually get some strikers this transfer window, which we won't, to partner up with Chris Wood, which we won't, we may actually have a challenge next season to be able to get into that top 10. Unfortunately, our problem this year was our home form, where, like with many teams, anybody that was the away team just decided to attack us. And I keep hearing on Planet FPL regarding we changed our style and everything. No, we didn't. It happens every single season, without fail, every year. You watch it next year. The last 10 fixtures or so, once Dyche realises, you know what, I think we're pretty safe now, and I kept saying it throughout the whole season, he always lets the shackles off. He just allows our players to play football, which means we're a lot more open. And as you can, like I just mentioned just now, between the 3rd of March up to the last day, which was the 23rd of May, we won 2 fixtures. We lost 3, 6, 9. We lost 10 and drew 2 because we just played so open. If we just stuck to our normal plan, which is just the 2 brick walls in front of Chris Wood, in front of Nick Pope, of course, and with Vidra and Leeds, with Vidra and Wood up front, we'll be fine. But the problem is he decides to muck about with formations, allowing people to express themselves, and it just doesn't work in the system. Obviously, with the likes of Nick Pope being injured a lot this season, doesn't help. Obviously, Ben Mee was injured as well, and once you get rid of one of those key assets in those defensive areas, our just defence crumbles. For whatever reason, we can't seem to play without them. But overall, I'm pretty disappointed with this season. I thought that we would have had a lot more of a better chance of getting near to that top 10 area, but unfortunately we failed miserably. We only ended up 11 points, I think it was, clear of Fulham in the end. But the reality is, let's get real here, the likes of Brighton, Southampton, Crystal Palace. We've all been pretty meh this season. I mean, Crystal Palace, Dan, they're a team. Do you think they should be looking over their shoulder next year, depending on who they bring in as a manager, regarding relegation? Because I know for a fact that we're going to be right down there next year.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's interesting what you were saying about like the respective teams. I mean, it is just a fight to stay up, isn't it? Really, and staying another season in the Premier League is the primary objective. So it's, I guess, it's just a certain style of how you do that. Really, if you play some entertaining football, lose some games, win some games. I mean, Newcastle. They had a tough season, but they managed to, make some good signings and pick things back up again half of the season. Palace, it's going to be tricky for them. Hodgson's been there for 4 seasons now. A couple of their players are getting on a bit as well, so it's going to be very difficult for them to manage that transition. But yeah, I think. The teams that have been relegated, it's just been a case of not enough quality. Fulham barely scored any goals. West Brom, too little too late with getting, Sam Allardyce in. But they just haven't. And Sheffield United have just been dire. And they were brilliant last season, let's not forget that. But once again, these teams have just not had the quality, unfortunately. Fulham improved as the season went on, but they just started terrible and then couldn't really catch up.
No, precisely. And on that note, you said you want predictions on tonight's games. So I'm hoping, because I'm just one of those people that just likes it when managers seem to do really well in cup competitions, that they continue doing really well in cup competitions. I'm hoping Villarreal win just for Unai Emery's sake. I'll just let you know what Who Scored think. Who Scored are saying in this particular fixture, once it loads up, that they think it will be brilliant. They think it will end 1-1. Villarreal are considered underdogs on paper for Wednesday's Europa League final, but with Unai Emery at the helm, they should feel quietly optimistic about their chances. Emery is the most successful manager in this competition, having won it 3 times in the past. The Spanish side haven't lost a game in the Europa League this season. Okay, well, that's an interesting statistic. The worrying thing for Manchester United is that they have sleptwalked their way to the final since they progressed from the semi-finals. Now they suddenly need to turn it back on, and that isn't easy. The fact that Harry Maguire is also set to miss out at the back is a big blow for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who is desperate to win his first title as United manager. Remarkably, though, the last 4 matches between the two sides have all finished 0-0. Interesting bit of history, and being incredibly dull for the most part. The last of those was back when was the last game that these two played each other, Dan, and it ended 0-0? What year was that, Dan? Can you take a guess?
Bloody hell. I'll just guess 2008.
Spot on. Wow.
You're joking.
No, 2008 was the last time these played each other, ended 0-0, but it wouldn't be a surprise to see a cagey affair here, at least initially, as both clubs feel each other out and look to avoid a disastrous start. Who Scored are predicting the Man United team uses De Gea in goal, Shaw, Tuanzebe, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Fred McTominay, Pogba, Fernandes, Rashford and Cavani up front. And for Villarreal, if anybody's interested, Rulli, Gasper, Albiolo, Torres, Pedraza, Gomez, Capoue, Parajo, Trigueros, Bacca and Moreno. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a Villarreal win. No, stuff it. I'm gonna go with a Man United win of 2-1, and I reckon they'll get that done I'm going to go in extra time. I reckon Man United are going to take it all the way to extra time and win 2-1, Dan. That's based on absolutely nothing other than the fact that Man United are good away from home. What are you thinking, Dan?
I'm thinking, I think United are going to do it. I'll be cheering on Emery's boys, Arsenal's ex-manager, of course, but I think United just got too much quality. I think Cavani take centre stage. I think it'll be a decent match, but like you said, it'd be quite cagey. The way Villarreal played in that second leg kind of surprised me a little bit, but it was, what they need to do. They came out the blocks pretty well in that first game. United have had a couple of moments. I know Maguire's not there, and they've had a few defeats, but obviously they won on Sunday with a completely different team, but still, takes away the headlines of defeat, bad results. But Fernandes, Pogba, Cavani, I just think they're going to have too much quality. I think, I'm going to say 2-1 to United, actually. I think that'll be a decent shout.
2-1 to United. And going on to, you wanted to talk about the Champions League. I'll just quickly go over what Who Scored are thinking. Who Scored are saying this. They're going 2-1 to Man United. I was going to say Man City. Man City are looking to wrap up the European treble, having already won the League Cup and the Premier League this season. This is the first ever appearance at this stage of the competition. Chelsea's season is in danger of ending poorly. They lost the FA Cup final and were very fortunate to sneak fourth place in the Premier League last weekend and are not in the sort of form you'd fancy to beat City. Agreed. Chelsea have at least defeated City twice in recent weeks, and that certainly adds another level of intrigue ahead of Saturday's final. However, it's hard to look beyond a City win here, with them predicting 2-1. And by all accounts, I believe that those teams that Chelsea beat, that were City's, they weren't even full strength. So I'm expecting Man City to maybe win 2-0, maybe 3-1, something like that. Essentially, they'll do a professional job. Ederson in goal, they're going with Walker, Stones, Diaz, Zinchenko, Gundogan, Rodri, Silva, Mahrez, De Bruyne and Foden. Whereas Chelsea, they're saying Mendy, Rudiger, Silva, Azpilicueta, Reece James, Jorginho, Kante, Chilwell, Mount, Ziyech and Werner. So Dan, your thoughts on the Champions League final?
Yeah, I think it's City's destiny to win. Could be setting myself up here by saying things like that, but obviously in the league game, 3-1 at Stamford Bridge to City, but then in the reverse game, Chelsea got the win recently, 2-1. So I just it's going to be an interest. I think it'll be a bit more attack minded than the Europa League final. I say that, but I just have this feeling it will go to penalties. City will win.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to wrap things up now, I think. But I'm going to go 1-1 and then City to win on penalties. A very specific prediction there.
Oh, so very similar to what I'm thinking, and but regarding the Europa League instead, that is interesting. So just want to say that was mine and Dan's. I mean, it's gone on. I can't believe how long we've been speaking for. We could have been speaking forever regarding the Premier League teams. Ironically, I really enjoyed going through, looking back on results and everything, because it does bring back memories of certain things that happened in the Premier League. But I hope you all enjoyed it. Anybody that's watched this live, really do appreciate you guys watching. And also anybody that's watching on the replay, cheers as ever. Just a quick reminder that on Saturday, approximately 2, 3, 4 o'clock, obviously find out on at Elite FPL when it's going to be officially announced. But I am going to be holding the Impossible FPL quiz. So the Impossible FPL quiz. I'm hoping to get a few content creators on to have a bit of fun with it and everything. And maybe one of you guys that are going to be watching live on air, if one of you guys wants to participate via the Discord, we'll be doing it via that. And hopefully Dan, maybe Jason, will be joining us as well for what I call the Impossible FPL quiz. Other than that, Dan, appreciate you talking through your memories and whatnot about the Premier League season, and I'll catch you later, mate.
Yeah, see you soon, mate. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, cheers, everybody, and we will see you on Saturday. Stay tuned, Twitter at Elite FPL, and of course through the Discord as well, where it will be announced officially. Thanks as ever, and catch you later.